They say the left hand, it drop mountains. They say the right hand, be slaying dragons.
All right, so I just ended my live like just now. I was live for 4 hours, so shout out to each and every last one of you guys that came onto the live and made your presence felt and made it a great time for me. Hopefully me and Pops made it a great time for you and you enjoyed a great night of boxing, because that's what Muratalla and Andy Cruz gave us. You know, respect to both those gentlemen. You know, it's been a lackluster week for boxing because of, Zuba Boxing didn't really light the world on fire with their first card. You know, Khalil Cole, ate a bunch of sandwiches and cakes and ice creams and came in 8 pounds overweight, and then he got a decision, a fight that he really didn't win, but wasn't, Jesse Hart didn't do himself no favors either, as far as what he needed to do in that fight. Israel Madrimov does what he always does in this fight, so I won't touch too much on that. But it was just great to see two high-level, world-class fighters, undefeated, in their prime, going tit for tat in a quality, like a real, the chef's kiss quality championship fight. Now, let me start with Raymond Muratalla. I got to give that brother his just due and his respect, because when he fought Tevin Farmer, I was very hypercritical of him. And I said back then, I said, look, Muratalla, what he's showing against Tevin Farmer isn't going to work at the top level, and he needed, I said back in 2024, he needs to get a lot better, because this won't cut it. And I got to say, against Andy Cruz, a guy who, yes, only had 6 fights coming in, he showed what he needed to show. As far as his intelligent pressure, his foot feints, his ability to cut the ring off. He made Andy fight a lot more and probably move more than he wanted to in that ring. And Andy had to really dig deep into his amateur background and his boxing skills to show that, he belonged in the ring with Raymond Muratalla. So, I mean, look, it's one of those fights that could have went either way. I thought Andy Cruz edged it, but, like I said, when you fight in that style against a fighter like Raymond, you're going to be leaving a lot of things to chance, because the judges will look at Raymond's intelligent pressure, his commitment to his jab, his commitment to his power punches, and they're gonna give him rounds off ring generalship. So I think Andy should have held his ground in the pocket and really made a bigger statement to Raymond, and maybe he would have got some of those rounds. But I mean, it's just one of those fights. Combi box wise, I saw the combi box numbers. Andy Cruz landed 176 punches. Muratalla landed 175. Andy landed on 33%. I think Raymond landed up on about 29%. So if you're going by combi box numbers, Andy won the fight, but they don't score fights like that. They score fights by round, right? So congratulations to Raymond Muratalla. He had a very honest, very professional road to the title, and Top Rank's done it again, ladies and gentlemen. Top Rank has done it again. You could say Bob Arum's on his deathbed and he's gonna die soon. You can make fun of them for being on Tubi. You can say all kinds of things about Top Rank, but the machine keeps going. They got themselves another one. Robert Garcia done got himself another world champion. So respect Raymond Muratalla. I was very impressed tonight with how he dealt with the footwork and the speed of Andy Cruz, and he got the nod in the championship in the championship round. He closed the way he needed to close to give himself the best chance to win, and they gave it, and the judges gave him the decision. Now, I didn't like the scorecards. I've come here many times on post-fight reviews, and I've reviewed fights with very bad scorecards, and this fight is no different. At this point, I'm really desensitized to it, so I'm not surprised. But man, 118, I believe it was Steve Weisfeld, 118, 110. I mean, shit, man. Like I said, I gotta really go to the eye doctor soon, and I gotta really fix these joints, because this shit is a strong prescription, right? And maybe Steve Weisfeld needed a strong prescription his damn self, because I don't know where the hell you got 118, 110 from tonight. This is not one of them kind of fights. Andy Cruz had a lot of success boxing and moving. One thing that kind of surprised me about Andy is he did this whole draw Ennis thing. He would switch southpaw, shift back to orthodox. Every time he switched southpaw, I was surprised Raymond Muratalla wasn't able to take advantage of that, because I felt like it was a disadvantage for Andy Cruz, but it was an advantage for Andy Cruz, and it did allow him to get some success scoring offensively. But nonetheless, very, very quality championship fight for the sport of boxing, for Raymond Muratalla, for Andy Cruz. And now Raymond Muratalla being the champion, I mean, there's really good fights out there for him. You know, you got an in-house unification fight potential with Abdullah Mason. You got all kinds of fights. Who else? I mean, Shakur Stevenson did mention that he would come back down to unify 135 after the Teo fight, so you got that potentially. You got Lamont Roach, who will fight any and everybody. So if you really want to make a fun fight happen, when Lamont Roach is always there, he'll take the damn fight. He ain't, that dude doesn't duck anybody. I mean, who else? I mean, you got Sam Noakes, who I think would be a good voluntary opponent. He showed his worth in the Abdullah Mason fight. He proved his merit in that fight. So I mean, there's all kinds of really good fights for Raymond Muratalla. I know Raymond used to be very vocal about wanting to fight Keyshawn Davis. I mean, Keyshawn Davis is, for all intents and purposes, is still a one. You know, he's at 140 now. So he's fighting Jermaine Ortiz. But I mean, shit, anything's possible, right? That fight. I mean, look, man, good for Raymond, man. Raymond has had the easiest road to a title. He like I said, those fights that I mentioned against Ndengeni and Tevin Farmer, those were fights that I was hypercritical of Raymond. But those without those fights, without the experience that he got in those fights and the rounds that he got in those fights, I don't think he beats Andy Cruz tonight. I don't think he would have been properly prepared skill-wise to deal with what Andy Cruz brought to the table tonight. So, you know, it's just great fight, honestly. Really great fight. I'm not gonna call this a robbery because I've seen people say Andy Cruz got robbed. I thought Andy might have just barely, by the hairs of his chin, nicked the fight. But nah, this was a true, truly close fight. Could have been a draw. Could have gone to Raymond. Could have gone to Andy. Raymond, in this case, just having to get the decision, so I can't get mad at that. But there's plenty of options out there for Raymond, and I personally, look, if we're talking about unification fights, then if Shakur comes out 35, I would like to see Shakur run that fight. But more than likely, a unification fight. Like I don't see Raymond Muratalla going straight into the unification fight. He's got a very smart boxing man behind him in Robert Garcia. I'm thinking they're going to do a voluntary fight. If you're going to do a voluntary fight, I would like to see Raymond Muratalla versus Sam Noakes. I'm not sure if he's ranked in the IBF, but if he is, run it with Sam Noakes. He makes for great action fights. He can punch. And, you know, like I said, he proved his merit in the Abdullah Mason fight. So, you know, that you know, congrats to him. Like I said, man, I'm not a hater of any fighter. If any fighter goes out there and shows that they belong at that top level, even if I don't like them or if I'm hypercritical or whatever the case may be, then I give them their credit. And I don't got anything against Raymond Muratalla. So good for him. I respect his road to the championship. As for Andy Cruz, I'm really intrigued to see what's going to happen to him because now he takes his first loss. Keyshawn Davis, that fight's probably not on the table anymore because, you know, Keyshawn Davis is going to be looking to go to 147 or maybe fight, if Teo beats Shakur, maybe fight Teo or something like that. I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen with that fight anymore, but I'll be led to believe it's not going to happen anymore. So, Andy Cruz, you know, I'm not writing him off. You know, he's still a damn good fighter. It's not like Raymond went out there and blew him out tonight. No matter what Steve Weisfeld tries to tell us, but yeah, you know, he even in a loss, like sometimes in a world title fight, just like with Sam Noakes with Mason, you can prove your merit in a loss. Like if they would have given this nod to Andy tonight, I would have said the same thing about Muratalla. There is such a thing in boxing, whether fighters want to hear it or not. You can have a quality loss. You can prove your merit in a loss. And for Andy, you know, I think he did that, you know, and being a guy who had a deep amateur background with 2 gold medals and a bunch of amateur habits, and then, you know, fighting 6 fights in the pros, getting fast tracked to the world title shot, to go in there and fight a guy like Muratalla, younger, strong guy, undefeated, pissed off for greatness, and you go in there and you box the way you did against him, you know, I believe Andy deserves some respect too. And yeah, overall, like, I can't complain. After a shit ton of very average and terrible boxing this week, we finally got something of high quality. So respect to these 2 gentlemen. Respect to Andy Cruz. Respect to Raymond Muratalla. Respect to Robert Garcia, Bozy Ennis. And yeah, that's my thoughts.
Thank you for watching True School Sports.
Thank you for watching another video on the untouchable True School Sports empire, the home of boxing, We're on the road to 100,000 subscribers, guys. So help us keep being great. Help us keep pushing out that real boxing content for the fine folks all around the world. And make sure you jab, you hook, you Mike Tyson, you Mayweather that subscribe button. Pops, show them how do they gotta hit the subscribe button. Pop, pop.